Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is David Novak. So I haven't posted for a few days. I've been a tad under the weather, but I seem to be coming out of it, nothing serious. And today, this afternoon, for no particular reason, I was Googling one of my favorite authors and discovered, to my shock and horror, that he had died last month on June 14th, 2023. I am referring to Henry Petroski. Now, this book, Beyond Engineering, is probably the only book in my collection of Petroski books which I have not read. I must have bought it just when I reached the tipping point and did not feel like reading any more of Petroski. But I thought I would show you the other Petroski books which I have. He's an author I recommend very much. This is the book where I started with Petroski, and it's probably the place where most people have gotten their Petroski start. A wonderful collection of essays about the designed environment in which we live in. I suppose the only positive to come out of climate catastrophe, which is impending, is the thought that we will all be beginning to live under conditions which are not totally designed. At the time he was writing, anywhere you looked, north, south, east, or west, chances are, be it a telephone pole or some other object, chances are you would be observing a man-made environment, even if it was some sort of natural preserve. The tailorings of human design would be present. And this talks about that a little bit. This is a really great one about bridges. He's excellent about, one of his central theses is talking about how failure is necessary. Failure breeds good design, and how engineering failure is the means whereby we learn how to not fail. And he talks about a lot of bridges. Now, nowadays, I would bet that there's a lot of good material on YouTube about this kind of thing. I think this might be the one where he talks about the second Narrows Bridge, and I do believe that that was filmed, the catastrophe which occurred there, or the collapse of that bridge. It just sort of buckled like a ribbon, and I believe that's on YouTube now. Very good essays about that. This is a nice set of essays about important personages, I guess, little anecdotes about different people, and how through trial and error advances were made in engineering. He talks about, for example, the technology behind building or creating the underwater pylons, and how the malady known as the bends came to be noticed, and all of the, of course, suffering and death that went into the creation of these monumental man-made structures. It's a very excellent read. I haven't read any of this stuff for a long time. Now, this one I read, and it's probably my least favorite, simply because it's a memoir, and I'm not a big fan of the memoir genre. I probably should read it again because I remember zilch, but if you ever, probably nobody under my age or under his age, he was 81 when he died, really knows about paper routes and that kind of thing. It was my first employment, and I believe it was his as well. Oh, and here is that bridge. Maybe he talks about it more in this one. I believe that's the second Narrows Bridge. And this is where he uh, puts forth that thesis most powerfully. A great book. And another one which, for some reason, I have some bookmarkings is this one. He talks about the technology of the book and um, the technologies surrounding the book uh, and libraries. Um, nice little illustrations there. Um, here's a scholar using rotating letters. It's it was chained. I have this whole chapter chained to the desk while books had to be chained up so that, and you know, I'm sure that even in libraries today there are huge reference books. Well, probably there aren't many huge reference books, but in my time there have been books that were chained to their places. And the one curious anecdote, I've I've mentioned John Frederick Nims before. He was a Chicago professor and teacher, never my teacher, but he wrote Western Wind, which was a slash poetry anthology slash how to write poetry guide that was much used in writing workshops. It has since been revised by a different author. So there are two names on the byline. And he was a personal friend of Petroski. And apparently, Nims lived in a small Chicago apartment and had one closet miraculously converted into a copious library. And I am sure that it has since been dismantled, and I wish there had been YouTube around at the time to show us a video of the personal library of John Frederick Nims. Very, very interesting things. Now everybody has digital, although the presumption has to be in the long term that anything digital is probably going to be lost, whereas paper is a tried and true technology, subject to various vicissitudes, obviously, but definitely the optimal medium for storing information that we have. So this is my collection of Petroski. Let's put them back a little bit. And he has other books out, and maybe it's time for me to try to add to my collection and read a little bit more. I'm saddened to learn of his death just a month ago. Thank you for stopping by my channel.